around, back with another video. I'm going to do a review on Candyman 2021, and I wanted to do reviews on the other Candyman movies, but I never got around to watching those. I only watched the first one and the 2021 sequel, and this, I think I'll watch the other ones and I will review those because I want to watch them now because, of Tony Todd's tragic passing, and I dedicated that review about 6 days ago to him, and I want to dedicate the other reviews to him as well. So this sequel of the 2021 sequel is an interesting one, kinda, because it kinda summarizes that Candyman is not only Daniel Robertile, it's a bunch of other men who got murdered in very tragic ways. So like whenever a person dies tragically, that person becomes the Candyman. Which I think in the end of the first one, when Helen's husband, I think, was saying her name 5 times, she got summoned. So I think it was already an idea in the end of Candyman, the first Candyman, but I think they dwell into it more in this one. So it is interesting. It means that Daniel was not the only Candyman. So I guess, which I kind of, doesn't irk me, but it kind of is like saying, oh, Daniel Robertile is we thought he was the only Candyman. We thought he was the only one, but when every person gets murdered tragically, and that Candyman, it comes to fruition, and it's someone else. So like at the beginning of this movie of Candyman 2021, you follow this kid named William Burke, who's going to do simple, going to do laundry, and then there's police enforcement everywhere, and they're looking for this serial killer, who's, I guess, calls himself the Candyman, who gives out candy to youngsters or something, and I think murders them. And William goes into the into the laundry room where this is in Cabrini Green, I believe, and which is the same place that took which is the same setting in the first Candyman, which is interesting. So William Burke sees this man in this dark room inside. It's like there's a hole and it's really dark in there, and this guy comes out. He hands out candy to the boy, and obviously the boy thinks it's a serial killer. So he yells for the police. Obviously the police enforcement come and they kill him. They kill the Candyman, which is a serial killer. But and then later in the movie, one of the William Burke grew up, and he explains to the main character, Anthony McCoy, explains that Sherman Fields wasn't the real serial killer. They got the wrong guy. They killed the wrong guy. And a few days after Sherman's death, that's the man's name that William Burke seen. Sherman wasn't, the serial killer. A few days after his death, they still found a lot of, candy everywhere, I think, in the victims' corpses and all that. So, like, that's when that was a tragedy. And when that tragedy happened, Sherman became pretty much the Candyman. So throughout this movie, it's Sherman's Candyman, not Daniel. So it's interesting that, interesting to going that route. And Anthony McCoy, years later, Anthony McCoy becomes, an artist and all that. I'm following his story now. The main character becomes an artist, and he's doing an art thing for this art for an art class. So he goes there, Cabrini Green, and takes pictures like Helen did. And later after that, he summons Candyman, and all hell breaks loose for Anthony. He sees Sherman's Candyman everywhere, just like how Helen did. I don't think he gets framed for murders in this, because whenever the murders happen, he's not around. So, like, it's like, this is Sherman's Candyman, not Daniel. So it's interesting that they're following this Candyman in this movie. And I really wanted Tony Todd to be in it a little bit more, but I think I still respect what they were going for. And it's like when a tragedy happens, this happens. So like when Daniel died, he became a Candyman. When Sherman died, he became a Candyman. When Helen died, I don't think they say her name 5 times, but she became like a Candy Woman, I guess. Or the Candyman. I don't think you should probably include that, but it's like, it's interesting that that happens, like there's other different Candymans out there. And that's just because tragedy after tragedy is just always going to come to fruition, because it just keeps happening and happening. And I don't think Sherman's death was that tragic, because I think Daniel's was more tragic, with the bees and the cutting his hand off, because he loved someone, and the father hired townsfolk to kill him, or a bunch of thugs to kill Daniel. I think his was tragic, but like I said, I think people didn't really like this idea, and I think that's why. I think I kind of liked it. I guess it was pretty good. It was interesting that they had to go that route. So, this movie is just following this character, Anthony McCoy, go through madness, isolate himself at his home, do all these paintings of what he's seeing. And it's kind of like affecting his life and his daily life and his life with his wife and her girlfriend, I think, and his friends, his work, his career. So like when he summoned Candyman, it's just really, everything's going wrong for him, So I think like Anthony McCoy's journey is becoming, a regular human being to this, full on crazy mode. And he literally, you follow him. You follow him throughout this like, not journey probably, but through this this way of like going full, crazy. You just see him lose it, and you see him normal in the in the first half, and when it gets to the second or third, he's just losing his mind. And it's like, it's exactly what happened to Helen in the first one. So I like how you follow these characters going through Candyman's curse and Candyman's torment, to the person who summoned him. And so I like how he's not framed for murders, Anthony McCoy, in this movie. Helen was, but he's just like, when he leaves the room to like certain characters, they get murdered after. So like it's interesting to see that, to see how different it is. So going back to William Burke, the little boy who saw Sherman, he decides, that he's going to make Anthony. Before we go to William, also Anne Marie is in this as well. Anthony McCoy's mother, which she returned, which I like how she returned in the film for a couple of minutes. And Anthony didn't know that he was the baby that Daniel's Candyman kidnapped. When Helen Lyle was going all nuts and everything. But anyway, when Anthony's mother, Anne Marie, finally revealed to him that he was the baby, and that's when he's starting to get he's like afflicted with Candyman's curse, and Candyman is getting to him, and he finally knows why. Well, not why that's happening to him, but like why Anthony McCoy is like he knows who Candyman is now because he was involved in it and back in the day when with Helen Lyle and all of that. So I like how he's revealed by that, and now back to William Burke. William decides, oh, we want to keep Candyman alive. We want this tragedy he wants tragedy to happen. He always wants it to happen so Candyman will never die, if that makes any sense. The Candyman curse. So he saws off Anthony McCoy's hand, and his wife gets to watch, which is a tragedy of itself. But anyway, and William Burke is crazy now. He's ever since he saw Showman died, he knows that this Candyman thing is he wants it to keep it alive. So he cuts off Anthony McCoy's hand, and then he just he says, oh, he's going to let the police kill Anthony McCoy. And I think he wants to make Anthony McCoy try to maybe murder his wife, or tries to, and the police stops him maybe. But he does stop him, and Anthony's wife kills William Burke, stabs him multiple times, which is a brutal death. It was crazy too. It was crazy the sudden shock of Anthony's face when William Burke cuts his hand off, and he can't do nothing about it. He's like in some sort of trance. A tear goes in his eye. I think that was brilliant acting by the actor who played Anthony McCoy. I like his character in this. But anyway, the police murders Anthony McCoy, and now he's kind of the new Candyman right after Showman, I guess. And now the Anthony McCoy's wife summons Candyman, but before she summons him, the police says his name one last time, the fifth time. And he goes after the police officers. This is going to be a brief spoiler, actually. I should have mentioned it, but Anthony McCoy, murders all the police, and he takes the last police officer away, and the wife, Anthony McCoy's wife, follows, and she sees Candyman, and it's Daniel Robitaille, and Tony Todd reprises his role. His line that gives me goosebumps that says, "Tell everyone, that maybe Candyman is back, or the original Candyman's back." So I really, when I was in the theater and I hear Tony Todd's voice, I literally knew that Tony Todd was going to make a cameo at the end. And I really loved that ending, even though he wasn't in it much, which I think people didn't like. I guess I didn't like it either, but I liked how he did make a cameo and made the new blood shine a little bit before he does his cameo at the end. So I liked that. I liked how he did a cameo at the end, and I liked how he gave, the other actor to shine as Candyman for a little bit, So that's the review. I think this was an interesting movie. I think it was an interesting premise and concept, and I really loved seeing it in the theater that way. I thought it was really good, especially at the end. I always get goosebumps when I hear Tony's voice, and it's like it memorizes you, kind of like it when it left Helen Lyle in a trance in the first one. It's just like it just felt good to see him back, even though it wasn't for long. And obviously Anthony McCoy's character was good. I think William Burke was interesting because he wanted to keep the Candyman legacy or curse alive, and the side characters were good. I think everyone was well written. There was a lot of good, well shot scenes and a lot of good cinematography. The soundtrack was good as well. It gave the soundtrack back from the first one too, but it kind of gave herself a new soundtrack, which I really liked. So I give this movie, I would say, an 8, a 7 out of 10. I thought it was maybe an 8, 7 or 8 between those, but I think it was good. And that's my review for this movie. And, hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll be trying to review the other Candyman movies, in honor of Tony, because he was a horror legend and icon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. This is the Horror Hound signing out.